This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
You spent an entire career saving for retirement, and you know what? The last thing you need at this stage is to make a misstep that ends up spending down your savings too quickly. Well, how can you make sure that you've done enough? Today, Scott's going to share with you some simple ways to help you maximize your retirement income, help make the most out of your retirement by taking these strategic but simple steps. This is Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. Scott, an important topic here today.
It is, Alex. It's a big topic, and actually, I don't know how simple it is, as you said, as you opened up, because retirement, Alex, isn't simple. It's almost like I want to be in the Olympics, but I have to do a heck of a lot of warm-ups and practices starting at age 5 or 6 years old, and I finally make it to I'm 16, 17, 18. So, Alex, retirement's almost the same thing. You have years of time of planning for retirement, but there's so many bumps and bruises and joys along the way. So I want to let people know right now as we talk about it is, of course, retirement isn't easy. And so thanks for joining us today. This is Scott McLean and Alex. We talk about your retirement. Alex, what do you got for me? What's going on, big dog?
Yeah, Scott. Well, I don't want people to feel bad. And here's some information that kind of just lets you know if this is resonating for you that you're not alone. Because projections from the Employee Benefit Research Institute show that 40% of households where the head of the household is between 35 years old and 64 are projected to run short of money in retirement. So not quite half, but pretty darn close. Scott, how concerned should pre-retirees be about running out of money?
Well, number one, living in fear is not good, but planning is important. So I think, Alex, what you're saying is, people are not saving as much, and now we're facing a lot of economic challenges right now. Not only to have the Democrats fighting the Republicans, we've got the inflation, we've got gas prices, as we spoke about at the beginning of the show. Things are changing. Some people aren't saving as much because they're digging into their wallet. But again, that report, you said 40% of households, while the head of households between 35 and 64 are projected to run out of money. Yeah, are they focusing on saving? As I tell my kids as they're growing up, do today what others won't do, so you'll have tomorrow what others won't have. What is that? Sacrificing and savings, putting money away. And again, putting money away in the right coffers so you don't have to worry. Now, it's so funny you talk about this as we talk about today. I just had a lovely couple come in. We actually are planning 8 months out, and they said, Scott, we just applied for Social Security. I said, wow, congratulations. Let me see your numbers. Let's see if we're on pace. And they are on pace, thank goodness, for Social Security. And his wife is on Social Security disability. So that's a big help. The question comes out when they pull money out of their investments, how do they pull it out? And can they keep up with inflation? So that's been a big, big discussion. The good news for those of you listening, if you're planning and going into retirement, the most important thing and mistakes I've noticed and I've noticed in my practice for many, many years is waiting to the last minute to talk to your advisor or at least talk to somebody. Or for those do-it-yourselfers out there, they try to do it themselves, but there's so many legs on a stool. Let's say there's 3-legged stool, your pension, your Social Security, and of course your own savings. If you're not paying attention to that stool will collapse. And I don't think anybody wants that to happen, especially with price of food and shelter and gas going up.
Well, and Scott, people are probably thinking too, like 40%, man, how is that so high? But There's a lot of factors involved. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that cause people to spend down their savings faster than they anticipated.
That's for sure. Some of the factors which we don't want to factor in, if you've been working your whole life, you and your spouse, or by yourself, you don't ever think about being sick. I think that's a big deal. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to happen to all of us.
It's going to happen, and we don't want it to happen. So I call that the big denial. I know when I had one of my illnesses and I was in denial. I don't have it. I'm fine. I'm good. It's 2012. I was getting ready for a marathon, and we were going to Hawaii, my daughter and I, and the wheels fell off and found out I had a rheumatoid arthritis, and it kicked in big time. And I hear I'm a tough guy, or I should say I thought I was, until the wheels started falling off. And of course, now you're on medications. Now, notwithstanding, still have to work out, still stay in shape. The number one thing on people when they go into retirement, one thing they should be thinking about is, am I staying in shape? Am I eating correctly? I know it's basic, and you guys listening right now, you're probably, this guy's preaching at me. I'm not preaching at you. I'm talking to myself. And you look yourself in the mirror, it's like, oh my goodness, I better lose a little bit of poundage, because that's going to raise up the issues of health issues. The next one, Alex, I think is, my daughter and wife were coming back from Ocala from competing down there at the World Equestrian Center. And I don't know if you saw the pictures, Alex, but a tire came across the road from an SUV, crashed into the I have a 3500 dually Ram, ripped off the roof of the car. And you'll look at it. Thank God the angels pushed the tire away from my daughter as she was driving, and the wheel bent backwards. But we don't plan for accidents. And that's just another left hook comes out of I don't know where it comes from, but it just comes out there, and we got to deal with it. And that, which leads into our being disabled. So the long-term care issues, the death of a loving spouse. We just did a title transfer, and we actually opened up a irrevocable trust to hide assets so the nursing homes wouldn't grab the money from the client. And when we were doing the planning process, everything was beautiful. I get a call just yesterday afternoon that the spouse passed away. So what's that? You're messing the whole game plan up. What are you doing dying? These are lovely clients of ours and for years. But after we set everything up perfectly, he passed away from a brain hemorrhage. It's like, oh my gosh. So we don't know when these, as you say, these factors, I call it the unexpected Muhammad Ali uppercut, comes into your life. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, you are taken down. Or I think about, on top of that, I have children, as many people know. I've been doing this radio show now since it's almost 12, 13 years. I got a bunch of kids. And one of the issues is, and I noticed this on several different families, the kids, have problems in their life, whether it's a divorce, maybe their kids get sick, and they go to the well. They go to mom and dad, and they go to the bank of mom, the bank of dad, and that is the hardest part, which I find people, I'm going to help my kids. I'm going to help my kids. Well, the definition of help could be hurt in the long run. That's why it's so important. If you have a financial advisor, you definitely need to talk to them before you start doling out money to see how will it affect you. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying be cautious, because the kids can really pull on your heartstrings, and maybe it's just for a couple issues they need to go through, like we've all been through. So again, there's another factor that comes out of the blue, and this is called the heartstring factor. The heartstrings is pulled, and you kind of want to help out the kids. Now, Alex, I don't know if you've gone out with out to dinner with people, and you find out who's going to pay the bill. It's amazing for me, Alex, when my kids want to go out for, here comes, whether it's Father's Day or whether it's my birthday, I'm always ending up paying. What's up with that deal?
You know what,
Alex, what do you do?
Well, my mom has no problem announcing right at the beginning we're going Dutch, that we're splitting the tab. So my mom has no problem laying it out there right. We'll hang out. We're friends at this point. So it's not just coming over for dinner. We're going to meet somewhere, a bar, a restaurant or something. And it's kind of known now we're splitting the tab. You just got to set that. You got to let them know up front, Scott.
Boy, you couldn't have said that better because I know I don't do it, and of course my kids always expect it, and it's
Of course.
that's why it's so important to if people out there have got a challenge, Alex, they want to give our studios a call. I'd love to walk them through some of the factors, some of the unknown left hooks.
Mhm.
Doing this business for as many years as I've been doing it, I've seen a lot of left hooks. And they're real, So if they want to give our studios a call off the air, I'd be happy to take a call at 609-488-4646. I'd love to be able to answer questions if I can. If I can't, we have plenty of access and resources to call, whether it's our lawyers or our tax people. But again, 609-488-4646. Because Alex, as you said in the beginning of the show, what are the factors that show up? I say the ending factor, if you pass away, the crows and the clowns show up at the funeral, but it's before the funeral when it really could be challenging when it comes to retirement, and especially when people are not saving as much right now or not putting it away. I think this is really important to sit down and have a come to Jesus meeting. I call it a one-on-one. Hey, let's find out where we stand and do this often.
Yeah, and we're talking about unexpected factors, and you mentioned like a Muhammad Ali left hook, and I just kept thinking of the Mike Tyson quote, "We all have a plan until we get punched in the face," and that's kind of how it is in retirement as well. And Scott, we got a few moments left here of our opening segment, but we're talking about problems, but you're a solutions guy. Can we talk about some strategies that we can implement, make sure we don't spend down that retirement savings too quickly?
Well, obviously, it's very, very basics for those Dave Ramsey fans out there. Obviously, you want to save money and you want to have a nice nest egg. Frankly, I could care less if somebody had an extra $5,000 or $10,000 hanging around because I can tell you right now, their money's hanging around in a savings account, a liquid money, a liquidity. Enough money in case the left hook comes up. Next thing is, of course, maybe having that meeting with the kids. And when you have a meeting with the kids, obviously, which I haven't done, by the way, and say, hey, guys, like you said, what your mom does, having that meeting, it's really important to have that discussion, who's going to pay the bills. And finally, watch your spending. The hardest thing I've noticed, Alex, when you go into retirement is a budget. Now, no one likes a budget. And I call it the nasty B word. That budget could be really, really challenging. And not knowing what you're going to spend. So this is how you can really focus on a fixed income type of situation. So there's no easy plan except to putting a plan together. Then once it's established, you know what to say or you know how to reply to people. I think that's important, Alex.
And Scott, if people want a second opinion, how could they get a hold of you? Because I know that's something that's just so important.
I'd love to take phone calls, or if they'd like to, just say, Scott, I think we need to have a discussion. Can we have a discussion? Can we meet? Yeah, no cost, no obligation. I'll talk to anybody. I'd love to help people, whether it's off the air, on the phone, or it's in person. Obviously, our office is in Waretown, New Jersey. And right across the street from the lovely ShopRite and the old Dunkin' Donuts, which is down the street. But yeah, I mean, to have that really, really sincere discussion. I know people think, oh, yeah, they're sincere. He just wants to get something. No, it's about getting to know people. If people have been to our office, I can tell you that they're going to get some information that they either can apply or at least think about applying. And there's no harm, no foul, no twisting of arms. They need to put a plan together, as you say, the Muhammad Ali uppercut, or the not being aware of another challenge down the road. Very important to talk about it.
And Scott's number, again, if you want more information, if you have questions, 609-488-4646. Well, Social Security, Scott, you know this, it could be $1 million decision. So you got to get this right. More with Scott McLean on Financial Insanity coming up.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investment advice is offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Can we really live the go-go years, or am I going to scrimp and save and stay at home and watch TV, watch Bob Barker? I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
96% of Americans, 96, are taking Social Security at the wrong time. That means most of us losing out on an average of $111,000 over a lifetime. So, Scott, sounds like many of us are mismanaging this important benefit.
I don't know if it's mismanaging. I think it's not being informed, not being educated. I think that's where the challenge is in the industry, where the financial guy or gal or a salesperson wants to make a sale, not taking into three-legged stool, which is Social Security choices versus the pension options versus the personal savings. And when I think about those different areas, I thinking about taking my kids to the Dunkin' Donuts, as well as in Dunkin' Donuts, they have the ice cream. You ever been to a Dunkin' Donuts? They have ice cream?
No, I didn't. I haven't heard. We got to get that here in Kansas. You
don't have that? Well, you guys are missing out, because in Dunkin' Donuts, they also have the Baskin Robbins ice cream.
Okay.
And the reason I brought that up, because, when you bring a kid to the ice cream store, or giving them so many different choices, it's almost like a deer in headlights. They see these Baskin Robbins, they got 100 different flavors, and you say, I want them all. Well, I think about the Social Security, because there's 567 ways to claim Social Security. And I don't know if you know this, but the one way to maximize the lifetime benefits could cost you over $100,000 or more over one's lifetime by picking the second most favorable choice. Now, let me be real clear and help people understand this. It's not a cookie cutter solution. You just don't go to Baskin Robbins to get chocolate, because some of you might not like chocolate, or maybe you're allergic to ice cream and you need maybe just a donut. So by picking the right Social Security choice is not set it and forget it. And this is the biggest problem I've noticed in helping retirees pick their Social Security, walking through the different choices in Social Security. My goodness, that one mistake by not asking all the different questions. Do you have a disabled son or daughter? Are you taking care of your mom and dad? Do you want to retire early? Do you want to retire late? What kind of assets do you have? So picking Social Security could be a huge, huge mistake by not looking at all the options, Alex. I think this is a huge mistake. And I frankly blame the financial guys and gals out there. If you've been to a financial advisor and they haven't looked at Social Security before you've chosen it and really analyzed it, you're missing out. This is why people give us a call at our studios and say, Scott, I'd like to have that discussion. Please, we need to have that discussion. You need to have a discussion. I don't need to have a discussion, but because I'm versed on this, and I'm pretty good at this, Alex, at 609-488-4646, write down your questions. Feel free to give our studios a call. Off the air, I'll talk to you, no cost, no harm, no foul. You're not going to get twisted. We're not going to get sold. I promise that. And in fact, I will just educate you on the different choices. But this is why, listen to me, they need to go to socialsecurity.gov and pull up their Social Security report. Now that's step one. go to the Social Security, get my Social Security report. You can get it online 24/7, download it. This is important because Social Security is a huge, huge, huge part of planning for your retirement.
Well, and Scott, going to that site and pulling that up is important, but talk a little bit about why it's maybe not a good idea or even possible to reach out to the Social Security Administration if you're asking for, specific recommendations when it comes to your situation.
Well, that's a loadful. You could call Social Security, but they are not allowed to make recommendations. They're allowed to tell you the numbers. So that's a very important fact. You could call them. I don't want to deter anybody from calling.
Yeah, good point.
The challenge is making that final decision, because there's only one do-over. You pick Social Security, you only have 12 months as of the laws today in 2022 that allow you to, I call it the mulligan for those golfers out there. You can redo it, but you've got to do it within 1 year. Otherwise, you cannot redo it. So if you found out you made a mistake, if you're listening right now and you've just turned on Social Security, this is not an option, if I were you, to making sure you've got the best choice. Now, that being said, there's a lot of different choices. And so you definitely want to get that Social Security analysis. It's a unique software, Alex, really, really unique software, which they don't have. Now, the website that the Social Security offers is kind of good, but it doesn't dive into the most important details that everyone should look at before they choose Social Security. So again, go to Social Security, download your report, look at your report. There's a lot of mistakes in those reports, possibly. You want to make sure that there is no mistakes when you get those numbers. So get some help, at least before you turn Social Security on. And Alex, talking about Social Security, I don't know if you're thinking about this, but just the other day I was talking to a client and they were, not a client, a person that came into one of our workshops. When they came into our workshop, I found out that the wife was disabled, but she still was working part-time, barely making it. She was in severe pain. And I was talking to her in my office. I said, in all fairness, you need to apply for Social Security disability. I don't deserve it. I don't want it. I don't want to go on there. I know people are getting it. They don't deserve it. I said, whoa. We're talking about you. And all fairness, based on what I'm looking at, based on the medications you told me you're taking, you need to apply for Social Security disability. She looked at me and she got a little teary-eyed, and I'm thinking, I'm sorry, I don't mean to step on your toes or get personal. No one's ever asked me that before. No one ever really forced me. I said, I'm not forcing you. I'm highly encouraging you to look into this benefit, because in her case, you could just see it. And then this is part of the questioning process of the Social Security analysis that everyone should be doing before they choose Social Security, Alex.
Well, and it's not like, she needed permission, but you're almost giving her permission at that point. You can do it. You're going to be fine. You deal with this all the time. You know what's wrong. You know what's right. You know what's available and who it's available for. So that's great advice. Scott McLean here, Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. And what are some common mistakes, Scott, people make, when it comes to taking Social Security?
I think it's looking at that easy money. For me, it's like my best friend started at 63. He turned it on. I am 63, almost 64. Luckily, I'm working. I love what I do. I don't think I ever want to stop working, but it's turning it on too soon when maybe they don't need to, or maybe thinking it's going to run out. Now, that's a good debate. I see the last report on Social Security, I think it was 2033, 34. They're saying that they're going to have to reduce Social Security unless Congress does something. So that's out there. But again, number one, turning it on. Number two, not really looking at, if you're married out there and you're about to go into retirement, it's looking at both the couple's Social Security benefits. Perhaps one should turn theirs on, the other shouldn't. Perhaps both of you all, if you're married, should turn it on. Perhaps you have a significant other, you're not married. Perhaps you guys talk about it. How much do you have in savings? But again, among the people, if you're married, what happens? Here's the problem. Listen carefully. Financial Insanity, this is the problem. Let's say you plan your retirement, Alex, and your spouse and you plan on retiring. You're taking Social Security. But did you plan? Here's a big issue. Did you plan, which you probably didn't, on one of you passing? What happens if you lose that lump sum? In other words, Alex, if all of a sudden your lovely spouse is collecting Social Security and she's receiving, let's just say, $1,000 a month. Well, that's $12,000 a year. Imagine that coming out of your budget right off the bat. You know what $12,000 a year, Alex, equates to? What, in other words, if you had a pool of money and you lost $12,000 to replace $12,000 a year, do you know how much that pool needs to be, Alex?
Tell me.
$300,000 equates to $1,000 a month.
Yeah, over time.
Using the rule of 4, imagine not putting that in your plan. So that's another discussion when it comes to planning for retirement, looking at Social Security. When do you turn it on? Should you wait? Should you not wait? Everybody's not a cookie cutter. Let's wait till 70. I get a nice 8% increase every single year. Well, we'll time out, cuz everybody isn't the same. And I think this is where it's really important. You hear, I say, you hear your friends and your relatives, your acquaintances, and they tell you what to do. But did they really ask more than when to take it? Did they ask about the lifestyle? And this is a big challenge when it comes to Social Security and choosing Social Security.
And Scott, it's just a part of your retirement income strategy. How does Social Security kind of fit in with the rest of the plan?
Fits in great. If you have Social Security, if you haven't paid in and have those 40 periods, well, it could be a great supplement. I like using it as a great tool as part as your pension tool. The pension tool gives a lot of options. There's nothing worse I don't really like, although I do meet with people every single day, is when someone has a pension and they're about to choose the pension option, but they do it 1 or 2 months before they come in and say, Scott, we're going to retire. Which pension option should I choose? Oh my goodness, I wish you would have met with me 6 months before, because you could have had more options. This is where Social Security can be tiered up by maybe waiting for Social Security, using some of the different assets they have, IRAs, Roth IRAs, non-qualified, or let's say liquid money, joint money. How do you tier or put together and analyze where and how do you take money out of these buckets of money? Because I can tell you, seeing this, I'd love to meet people before they choose the pension plan, which ties in, Alex, it ties into Social Security and the options. And then again, the ugly question, what happens if either one of you, if you're married, either one of you pass away, what's going to happen? Let's say you're not married and you're living with a beautiful, significant friend or other, we'll call it. Well, if they're part of your life, this needs to be discussed between everybody. So this is important of challenges of taking Social Security and tiering it with your pension or savings, IRA, and non-qualified money.
Yeah, it's a very important decision, and people are not alone. Scott, they can get a hold of you if they want to talk about this or get some more information, right?
We've been doing this now on WBNJ. We're a proud supporter of WBNJ for so many years. Why? Because they're an education workshop. They're education radio. And the reason why I've been working on this show, not to bolster WBNJ, and they've got nice, beautiful music, is because we're able to educate people on making sound decisions. And so they're welcome to give our studios a call at 609-488-4646. I'd love to talk to you off the air. Or frankly, if you decide, you say, Scott, you know what? I don't want to do it over the phone. I want to do it in person. We'll give our studios a call. They'll make it happen for anyone, no cost, no obligation, 609-488-4646. You will love my staff. I can guarantee you that.
Earlier you mentioned the ugly B word budget. Well, coming up, we're going to talk about the ugly T word, taxes, because if some of your income in retirement will be coming from your retirement savings, well, guess what? You could get hit with the highest penalty in the tax code if you are not careful. More on this coming up.
It's nice when you get everything on your list in one place, isn't it? Scott McLean from McLean Advisory Group agrees. That's why he offers comprehensive retirement planning all under one roof. You shouldn't have to go one place for tax planning, another for estate planning, and another for retirement income planning. That's why McLean Advisory Group was started. Scott wanted to build a company that could help families with all aspects of their retirement planning. McLean Advisory Group is more than just convenient. They're knowledgeable and experienced. And for answers for your questions, you can set up a meeting with Scott and his team to talk about your retirement. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Use the same number to reach the team online. 609-488-4646.com. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax or legal advice.
Put your positive hat on. Let's have a call it a come to Jesus meeting. Let's have a real live discussion. Let's get somewhere and put a game plan together.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Forbes says required minimum distributions can trigger the highest penalty in the tax code if you do not follow the rules. Well, you definitely don't want steep penalties and potentially higher taxes swiping away at your retirement savings, leaving you with the fraction of the money you were counting on for retirement. And it's a big deal, Scott.
It is. Penalties are worse.
Oh, yeah.
Those required minimum distributions, a critical issue. I remember we do taxes at our firm. I don't know if you understand this, Alex. We do tax returns for our financial clients. We charge a whole lot of money. It's like $110 for the state and federal tax return. And we built that. I built that in 2008 because of this, what you're saying right now, the unforeseen unknown taxes. And so in doing taxes, George came in and his wife came into our office, our old office in Barnegat, New Jersey. And I'll never forget when, just a beautiful man, he was an engineer, guy's top of his game. And the older people, they dress mighty dapper. And he came in, he was 83 years old. And I met with them and Gloria. We did the tax. I said, well, why'd you come here? Well, we heard you on the radio and we just kind of wanted to come in and meet with you. And, my husband's used to do it all the time, and I'm just not sure if he's doing it right. She came in. They both came in the office. I'm meeting with them. Just a beautiful couple, sharp as a tack. And we're going through returns. After grabbing their 2 years of tax returns, I was able to look back and look at them and sent them on their own way as I was, got all the information ready to process it. I noticed in looking at the previous 2 years tax return, I noticed that the year before we met them, he didn't take any required minimum distributions, or I should say they, but the previous year to that year, let's just say it's 2010. I'm looking at 2011 and we're doing the taxes in 2012 to make it real simple. Well, the 2011, I didn't see any required minimum distribution. In 2010, I saw minimum distribution. So in 2012, now we're doing the tax returns for 2012. Again, he didn't take any required minimum distribution. So obviously, give him a call on the phone and say, let me see, do you have any IRAs or 401ks? Because I don't see anything in your statements. I don't see any of your returns. I don't see any brokerage statements. And so we got to have all that. Bottom line, they had over $1.2 million in IRA money. Now they had a 401k as well as IRAs. Why do I tell people this? When you're doing it yourself, sometimes the lights go dim. Sometimes you forget where you put the keys. Sometimes you can't see the milk behind the cookies. Well, I shouldn't be in that department anyway. Anyway, when I looked at the tax return and I'm looking at it, and I talked to the tax guy, I said, hey, guys, take a look at this. I found out that he had missed 2 RMDs. Now, if anybody knows what the penalty, I'll just give you a quick scenario. The penalty for that was over $28,000 in penalties for 1 year. He missed 2 years. And then I called and I spoke to his lovely wife, and she yelled at us. She said, well, what are you going to do about it? You caused the problem. I'm like, whoa, time out. I'm sorry. We're just following up with what we see. If people, it's easy to forget these small rules. Well, they came in and I asked, would you mind if you would bring your son in? And he was 58 years old. Nice guy. And I wanted him to be there as another sounding board because I don't think they were getting it. Bottom line is, not only did they miss 2 years, but he missed the past couple of years tax returns, which means they got a huge, severe penalty. Well, the nice thing, what we did is after drilling down and talking to the son and giving him some options, here's what you can do. Pretty much, if people are not aware about the required minimum distributions, it is a critical tool of mistakes, a critical mistake tool, I should say. But by the way, we were able to write a letter. I got a copy of all his medical records. I got a copy of all his medications. And he was in the beginning of dementia, Alzheimer's. It was actually kicking in big time. Now, why do I tell that to people? You know what? Sometimes giants stand on the shoulders of other giants. Sometimes, you don't feel that well and lights are going dim. You need to go to somebody else. The requirement of distribution is critical. Now, Alex, I don't know if there's anybody out there right now and you do your own tax returns. That's fine. I'm not asking to do people's tax returns. That's the least I want to do. But I want to say the tax returns is a good MRI. It's a good EKG, which is why when we meet with financial clients or potential financial clients, I want to see the tax returns because it tells a story. And not only does it tell a story, Alex, but it tells me what happens as we spoke about in other segments of our show. We talk about Social Security. We talk about planning for retirement. Well, tax returns is a vital tool when it comes to planning for a retirement. And then, of course, taxes and taking the right deductions. So in this case here, we were able to write a letter to the IRS. We got a forgiveness. We took all the taxes out, and they forgave him 3 years of missed RMDs. And we were really blessed to get that taken care of. And she did understand because her son, of course, related to her and her husband. So required minimum distributions. Alex, I don't know what President Obama did, but I'd like to pick on him for the good reason. Whether you like him or not, I'd like to talk about something very powerful. I wrote a paper, and it's a unique paper I called Give and Get More Back. Have you ever heard of that, Alex? Give and Get More Back?
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
Well, see, the scriptures talk about blessed is those who give. The scriptures love a cheerful giver. Well, how do you give and get more back? This is called the QCD, Qualified Charitable Deduction. In other words, if you go to a church or a synagogue, or maybe like the Popcorn Park Zoo here in New Jersey, you want to donate to your favorite zoo, or maybe Deborah Hospital, or Danny Thomas is the favorite St. Jude's, why not give your required minimum distribution if you don't need it, by the way? If you don't need it, why not donate the required minimum distribution from the IRA and have the IRA send a check directly to the charity? I remember writing a paper to our church. I go to Bayside Chapel up here in New Jersey, in Barnegat, New Jersey. And I wrote a letter. I said, here, give this to your people. So I said, don't tithe anymore. You should have seen the deacons and trustees. What? Yeah, don't tithe anymore. What I was meaning to say as I kept going is, why not do your tithe from your required minimum distribution and give and get more back? Because you don't pay tax on that qualified distribution.
Well, and that way
this is a big deal.
You can have your cake and eat it too, Scott.
Yeah, totally. It's amazing because when you see all the stimuluses and you want to pay attention to taxes, maybe you're taking care of your mom and dad out there for families out there, their mom and dad's lights are going dim. You want to make sure, can you get all the deductions? So again, we spoke about charitable deductions. We talked about maybe and some people didn't get the rebates because they didn't do the tax returns correctly. Maybe they need to if they're in retirement or heading into retirement, maybe put more money into your 401k, 403b. But we're talking about requirement of distributions. This comes from either your 401k, 403b, 457, which must be taken out individually, or from your IRAs. And there is a lot of loopholes people cannot mistakenly miss because they're not going to forgive it that easy unless you have a lot of issues like George did. But this is important to pay attention to taxes because that could really, really resonate with your wallet.
Financial Insanity, Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott, I want to go back to something we mentioned earlier, and this was in regards to having some challenges, some things come up in retirement that maybe you did not anticipate. And one thing that we can anticipate is that we're going to get older, Scott. But some of us, we're stubborn. Right. And, we're active and we're still getting up there in age, but gosh darn it, that's not holding us back from water skiing or riding horses or whatever it is that we may be doing. But Scott, there does come a point when you got to look at yourself and you got to be real. You got to say, when's the last time I went to the doctor? Or what that doctor said, maybe I should listen to. And Scott, I know that this is personal to you and something that you see often, but maybe just speak to that, challenges are going to come up and you're going to have to adjust, and that's all right.
There is challenges, and I'm probably like most men out there, and their wives are saying you're stubborn. Well, yeah, you don't want to go to the doctor. You don't want to hear the bad news, or maybe you got an ache here, a pain there, and you put it aside, nothing gets worse. And then, which happened to myself, as I mentioned before, in 2012. I remember Daddy going to the hospital. My dad never was sick or never complained. I never knew it. I get a phone call from my mom, and she says, Scott, your father was walking from the restroom to his favorite chair, and he got winded. I say, yeah, Mom, big deal. Guys, he says, Scott, it's only 15 feet away. I said, oh, yeah, you're right. Thinking they were Jacksonville, Florida. Daddy died 7 days later. You know what? I don't know if he had leukemia back then. All I know is it just came up on him and wiped him out. Thank goodness I was there for my mama and my dad. And obviously when he passed away, we were able to take care of things. We don't know what we don't know. Is that right? We just don't know what we don't know. This is why planning is so important. This is why discussions, if you have a financial advisor, they need to be asking these questions. They need to be looking at your power of attorney, your living will, your health care directive, and your will, and maybe an asset, maybe your trust. And if you're a veteran out there or a spouse of a veteran, there are benefits out there. If you've gone to our website, 609-488-4646.com, go to our website. You'll see some unique tools for our veterans and their spouses that could be taking care of nursing care for totally free for those who qualify, depending on when you serve. But we help a lot of people. The challenge is, I think, the same thing, Alex, applies to the financial and the legal, the taxes. Not paying attention to these three areas intimately, understanding on at least an annual basis, is you now are making friends with the three blind mice. One person may be good in their skills, but all three need to talk about you. And this is where the financial insanity gets off the rails, which is why I built our show many, many years ago.
And Scott, one more time for us today, let people know if they want more information, if they want to learn about some of the stuff you've been talking today, want to seek some advice, some guidance, how can they get a hold of you?
I would love to speak to people off the air. You want to give us a call at our studios, 609-488-4646. Again, 609-488-4646. 4646. And if you simply go .com, that's our website. How simple is that? I like numbers, and numbers tell stories. And I would love to talk to you if I can be of help to anyone listening. I can tell you that the time we spend together will be well worthwhile, and there'll be no coercing or twisting of arms for me wanting to do business. Frankly, people love coming in and talking to us because they know they're not going to get bamboozled with trying to sales pitch, which is not our mentor and not our process.
To get answers to your questions, 609-488-4646. More Financial Insanity with Scott McLean coming up.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investment advice is offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
I call it the chicken and the egg. The chicken is the investment. The egg is the dividend. And so when the chicken pops out the eggs, if you don't need the money, let's reinvest the eggs and buy more chickens.
Man, that's just an excellent analogy, Scott.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group.
Hey, welcome back to Financial Insanity, out of the box thinking for your financial sanity. And Alex and I have been talking about all sorts of things, so thanks for staying with us. We talk about timeless advice, and Alex has got a few little tidbits I think you've heard many, many times, as well as I have, and you have. I think one of the times too many people spend so much money they earn by buying things they don't want to impress people they don't really like. And so I think about that many times when you go out and you want to impress people, but I hope you don't do that. Alex, what are some of the timeless ideas you have on there that people really need to pay attention to?
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. So we'll start with Warren Buffett. And anybody who knows finances, we know the name Warren Buffett.
Berkshire Hathaway.
Yep. And this man,
Brilliant.
he says this. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. And that's easier said than done. Right, Scott?
Boy, that's the truth. That's why I think in one of our segments we were talking about, Alex, about your budget and really watching your budget. And then, of course, people come in, they want to put their money in the stock market. They want to make $1 million. And, of course, the market drops. Never lose money and never forget rule number 1. But, again, it is easier said than done. There are some vehicles, by the way, out there in the investment world that are up to almost, Alex, I don't know if you know this, but I have seen some vehicles out there that are paying almost 5.3% guaranteed. I haven't seen it in so many years, and it's no fee, no cost. I'm not selling on the radio, by the way. Let me make it real clear. You've seen me on TV. Perhaps you've seen me in the radio, or you've been in person. I've never seen that high of a rate, such a long time, guaranteed for almost 5 years. And if they're looking for some money, imagine putting $100,000, getting an extra $5,300 a year. Great place, but you're watching your money like the rule. You don't want to lose money, and don't forget it. You don't, of course, you want to make sure you don't blow it and, of course, spend it haphazardly. So Warren Buffett knows his numbers. He knows his money, and that's a great rule.
American playwright Tennessee Williams. We're doing timeless advice today on Financial Insanity. Here's a good one. You can be young without money, but you can't be old without it.
You can be young without money. That's
and
right.
we all have been.
You can go to your mom and dad, and because everybody here's had kids, and they can always put their hand in your pocket or unless you go yell at them and say, go get a job. When you get older, I guess you could move back in with your kids. I guess if you don't have any money, you could go on some kind of government benefits. But boy, it sure is tough. I remember going to church and said, Scott, everything isn't about money. I looked at them. I said, you're right, but it's right up there with breathing. And I think you got to have that money because you want to buy things and enjoy life and do things. And money isn't everything. I don't worship money. I have others I worship, which is my Lord. But I can tell you one thing. It's good to have it. You need to have it. And I can tell you when you don't have it, life changes drastically to where it used to be when you were working.
All right. Another one. And you alluded to this one earlier. This one from Will Rogers. Too many people spend the money they earned to buy things they don't want to impress people that they don't like. Why is that a part of human nature, Scott?
It's human nature because I think sometimes when you go out to dinner, I think we spoke about this before, and you end up because you're going with a couple and they are a lovely couple and they know that you have a few dollars. I'm sure some of you have realized this, or maybe you go out with the kids. They just expect you to pay because you've done pretty good in life, let's say. Well, that's a crock. I think that's not very nice, but it's real. There's a book on there, a book I was reading, and of course, Who Picks Up the Paycheck is a great book I read. But there are so many timeless advice we talk about. When you think about the Ted Williams and the ideas of impressing people, this is about you and your spouse, you and your family. Focus on yourself. Life has a way of going so fast. The older I get, boy, the smarter my dad is. I can tell you, I think about all the times he told me some wise principles, and I didn't get it. I just nodded my head. But boy, the older I get, the smarter my dad is. So again, you kind of want to watch your dollar. And when you're going out to buy those cigarettes, maybe you should try to cut down. They're very expensive. Or maybe when you go out to buy a sandwich every day, maybe take a lunch with you. These are small, stupid things we were told our whole life. I was told. My parents were very frugal. And these are small, timeless things that really last. Like, don't spend all your money at one place.
609-488-4646. Scott McLean talking about some timeless advice. And few minutes left here, Scott, and maybe discuss if people are out there and maybe they've heard some rules of thumb, or maybe they think, this little riddle is how much Social Security I'm going to need, or people pass down information, and some things are timeless. But if people have questions, Scott, I know that you hear some things probably said sometimes, and it probably makes you roll your eyes, but why are you maybe a possible resource for folks if they want some clarity, if they want some direction?
When you think about the timeless concerns and areas of concern is we're going through healthcare. You're getting older, and our lives get a little bit more challenging. Healthy, unhealthy. Stock market, should you be in the market, not be in the market? We talk to people all the time. Some people cannot handle it. Psychologically, they can't handle it. Maybe they should be out. And so this is not a cookie cutter solution. Finance is not a cookie cutter solution. I remember talking to you, Alex. We were talking about people putting financial plans together. A financial plan tool, a nice 30-page plan of what to do, that's good for that day. It doesn't last for tomorrow. Life changes. So I hope those of you listening right now, if you've got a concern, I'm here. 42 years will be March 8th, 2023. And being in the business as long as I have, I've seen so many different people. One thing in common is, A, people need the money. B, people want to help their kids. And C, if you don't have any kids, you want to help organizations or your own family. Great. Let's structure it. Because again, by structuring and giving you some ideas with the ability to restructure. Structure doesn't mean set it and forget it. It means you're able to restructure because things do change. Kids do get better when they're on the wrong side of the street. Families do get healthy and then they turn unhealthy. And things change. So again, you want to avoid those retirement risks. Love to help you. Feel free to give our office a call right here in Waretown, New Jersey. Any questions you have right around Waretown, 609-488-4646. Alex and I try to pour our hearts out because we've done this for so long. And now in our 41st year in the industry, it's still the same. How do I really grow my money, protect my money, and help my family? I think that's what we're looking at. So Alex, I hope this was helpful for those people listening today. And I think we can help you. If you give our studios a call, I'm here for you, 609-488-4646. My name is Scott McLean, Alex Dingman, here to help you guys. And thanks for joining us at Financial Insanity right here at McLean Advisory Group right here in Waretown, New Jersey.
This radio program may contain information which has gone regulatory or other significant changes since its original recording. The information and views expressed on today's show is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment, product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities.
This radio show is a paid placement.